what's up, guys? Welcome to Between the Speakers, brought to you by FUSER. I'm your host, Simon Rex, and, well, as you can tell by this shirt, I have no fashion sense. Today is going to be a very special show. We have mega DJ, producer, musician Samantha Ronson. We're going to be chatting a little bit about, how her quarantine life's going. And how's your quarantine life going? I don't know when you guys are watching this, but we are in the midst of a palatial pandemic. As you can see, I'm not sure if you can tell, I'm 45 years old, but I have the puberty level of a 14-year-old. I could barely shave. You see these lack of whiskers here? So I look like a tomato went through a conveyor belt in Arizona during a sandstorm. I look like a falcon got slapped upside the head by a dehydrated regalia. It's bad, okay? I wear sunblock. I try to protect myself, but you know what? Sometimes the golden rays get through. And now that I live in the desert, that's why I'm trying to, by wearing red, diffuse my redness, okay? So I apologize if I seem a little falcony. I have a lot of bird-like features and qualities, all right? So in advance, I apologize for being a falcon. Oh man, what else is going on in the world? I want to talk about evergreen topics that aren't just what's going on right now, because who knows when you're going to watch this. One of the big bummers that, to be quite honest, that's going on is Burning Man is canceled. I know what you're thinking. Oh, you weird hippie. Oh, Burning Man. Listen to me very closely. I was just like you. Because I assume mathematically at least 99% of you guys have never been a Burning Man that are watching this. I was one of you guys. I didn't understand it. I thought it was a bunch of weirdos in the desert having an orgy. No. It's nothing like that. As a matter of fact, it actually doesn't have a vibe like that at all. You go there and it's, speaking of Dusty and Sandy like me, it's actually completely opposite. It's not a vibe where everyone's just hooking up like you think it is. So I'm a big supporter of Burning Man. I think it's more of a rite of passage, if you will, okay? It's almost like going and becoming a man. I know that sounds crazy, but one thing that we lack in our society here in the West, especially in 2020, is we have no rite of passage, nothing that you go through to become a man, for the hero's journey, okay? So Joseph Campbell types thing, the hero, he goes out, he brings back the wisdom, he's a changed man. This sort of gives you that experience in a weird way because our culture lacks these tribal regalias, okay? So if you go to Burning Man, you sort of have this experience where you face a lot of adversity and have these things happen. It's not just, I thought it was a music festival full of art, okay? No. It's a lot more than that. It is a rite of passage. And you have what you call weekend warriors. People fly in for 2 days on their private jet. That's not really burning. Okay, what a real burner does is you drive in. Okay, I've been 2 years only. I'm new. I've been 2 years, and I went by myself both times, and I went for like 8 days, which is a little long looking back, but you could go for it. It's a week-long festival. Okay. First of all, most people, most of my friends, I don't think they could handle 1 day at Burning Man. It's gnarly. Okay, it's no joke. It'll take a lot out of you. You're dealing with the nature elements. It's cold, it's hot, it's dry. You're way up in the high desert. People are partying, having a good time. You got to bring your own food. You really got to be self-reliant and not count on anyone else for anything. Yet there's this communal tribal feeling, right? And the music and the art is some of the best in the world. I'm not a raver by any means, but you get to go, get weird, and it's basically like going to another planet. Okay, well, what's kind of cool about this video game is you get to have your own Burning Man in your living room, baby. You could DJ from your living room in front of a festival of people. And if you just close your eyes and feel it or squint at the television at the right angle and maybe put a fan on or the heat at the same time and have your friend throw sand in your face at a 72-degree angle, you just might feel like you're a Burning Man. So I don't recommend you do that, but if you play FUSER at home, you get a little sample of what that festival life is like, okay? Because you don't have to be a raver or a festival goer to want to, get weird in your living room and be a DJ. All you guys out there, the video game's gonna be great. Let's just get right into our guest today. We got the very talented, lovely, dear old friend of mine, DJ Samantha Ronson. Let's log her in. Let's find her on here. Ba-da-boop, ba-boop. Hello and welcome to Between the Speakers, Samantha Ronson.
Hi, Simon Rex. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Living the quarantine dream.
Let's talk about your quarantine dream. What does your daily routine consist of?
I try to shower every day.
Ooh,
I know. It's big. It's big.
right?
Every when I do something like this, I put on a bra and jeans,
Oh
which
my.
is yeah, for
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank
For
you.
you.
Flattered.
Um, and then every other day is just basically me on like Amazon trying to get like an Amazon Fresh delivery.
I'm late to the Amazon party. I'm a Prime member now. I've been, it's once you open that door, it's a wrap.
Yeah. I'm trying to do like buy small, shop small, because I feel bad for like all these small businesses.
Right.
And actually, the shipping from small businesses has been better than from Amazon, because Amazon is like has tiers of like what's essential.
Right.
So I've been like half Amazon and half everything else.
Good. Support your local regalia. Now, how vigilant are you about hand sanitizer, washing your hands for 30 seconds, 17 times a day? How often do you go out into the world? Are you very anal retentive, or are you kind of laxed?
I don't go out into the world. I have to go tomorrow to take my dog to get his teeth cleaned.
Okay.
And to the vet. And my girlfriend is very upset about that, because she's like, why would you do that? And why would you bring Corona home?
Right.
And I was thinking that
yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to not bring Corona home, because if that means that I would get Corona.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. I have a very rigid cleaning situation, regalia.
Good. Perfect. For those,
the best term for it.
For those listening, regalia is a filler word. It could mean anything. It's just one of those words that can mean anything. Now, tell me about Cadillac. Is Cadillac around?
Cadillac's dead.
Oh, Cadillac. No. Oh, they're going to clean the teeth of a dead dog.
Yeah, there's a picture of my dead dog.
No.
She died almost 2 years ago.
Oh, wait, which dog are you speaking about?
Cadillac. No, I'm kidding. Thunder.
Oh,
Thunder.
Cool. Is Thunder nearby? Do we get to see Thunder as a private dog?
Thunder is not. Thunder is at daycare right now.
Was Cadillac the bulldog?
Yes.
Oh, I remember Cadillac.
Cadillac the assassin?
Yes. Cadillac that was a very good name for a dog of that stature.
Yes.
Very fitting.
We miss her a lot.
Yeah, I missed my dog, Dwayne. I don't think they ever got to hang out or meet, I don't believe. But you're coming to me from your home, which is near where I used to live. So I think it's a good area, let's just say in the hills, for a dog to have. So you take Thunder on walks, and that's your outside routine.
Yes, I should probably walk him more, but I don't.
Okay. Now, let's see. You being a DJ, okay? I've known you forever. God, it's crazy to think this. I think I've known you for 20.
Before I was a DJ.
I've known you since way before you were a DJ. I knew you were in high school. This is 20 years. We're talking 20 years ago. I used to come. Your brother
maybe
Mark.
More.
Maybe more. Well, okay. I met Mark, your brother. For those viewers, Mark Ronson, her brother, who's a DJ as well. I met him at a Calvin Klein show in 1994. Okay, maybe 5. Became very good friends with him immediately, and I'd come over to your home. So in 95, what grade were you in?
I was a senior in high school.
Oh my God, I've known you since high school.
Yes.
And Annabelle, who I just recently, I'm so, again, late to the party with everything, Amazon included. I just started watching Concussion, what's it called?
Succession.
Succession,
yeah.
Succession, best show maybe ever. Up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your favorite show in a minute. That show blew me away. I didn't want to watch it. I was like, oh, a show about family and power and money and no thanks. I started watching it because quarantine and there's this binge watch time. The show blew me away. And I was so proud to see your sister on there. And I'm like, oh my God.
Pierce.
She's a woman now.
Yeah,
she's in my mind, you guys are still, like in my brain, you guys are still the children that I used to come visit. And when I was just a kid myself, I was in my early 20s, and I'd come by and it would be like the family hanging out and Chris and Rome. And I'd come by and it was like family, and you guys were children. Mm-hmm. Now you're an adult. You grew up.
I mean, yeah, it happened.
I guess that's how life works. And you grew up to be a human being.
I know it's debatable.
Yeah, debatable. Now, what about video games? Now, did you ever play video games as a young little rascal?
I did. Max Leroy and I used to play. We used to stay up all night playing NBA Live 95.
Wow. And what was your team?
Knicks.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, I'm sorry you're a Knicks fan.
I know.
Oh, and I got to apologize because I, in a roundabout way, asked your age by saying high school, but I don't think you're the kind of person who's like, don't ask my age, because in my mind, you're eternally young and you still look like a teenager, I got to say. I look like a weathered falcon went through a sandstorm.
No, you don't. You still look the same.
Just tell me more. Just kidding. Now, video games. So you played NBA Live 95. Was that the only game? I remember coming to your house and seeing Chris would be playing video games in his pajamas. Like I remember coming over specifically and your brother Chris would be playing video games and it was like he was a child. He was a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's still a child.
Yes, he's still a child. I mean, so am I. I don't think I'm at this point, Sam, where I'm trying to grow up, but I don't want to grow up because it's a trap, but I'm trying to be responsible, but still be a silly goose. So I'm trying to be a responsible goose.
You know, geese are actually great security animals. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I was trying when we were doing the security for the house, because Cassandra, my girlfriend, is very into all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, we'll be fine. One of the security people pitched us getting a goose.
A single goose? One goose?
Just one goose.
Okay.
And then I was like, that would be so fun. Thunder and the Goose. It sounds like a children's book story waiting to be written.
Or a Kevin Hart rock movie.
Yes, that too.
Okay.
But then I thought about all the shit that would be
Oh, no, you can say that. It's okay. Now, the rumor mill is that geese or a singular goose is actually called a goo. I don't know if you know this, but a gee are considered dangerous animals. They'll bite your dog. Yeah. Do you want that kind of trouble for thunder?
I didn't want it for thunder, but I did want it for like intruders.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so were you OCD before the quarantine?
Yes, I was like not a hugger and I super anti-germ.
Are you like a fist bump, like fisty bumper?
I'm like a take a step back and just nod.
Yeah, you are. I recall that. Yeah, you're a step back. Because now, do you think that's growing up in New York? Is that the New York in you? Because, and also you guys are European, which be conflicting because in Europe, England, somewhat of a double kiss kind of French vibe, somewhat.
England is more like a handshake and a carry on.
Now, do you feel the handshake is going to be a thing of the past? And are you happy about this? Now, maybe we'll go to Asian tradition, which is a nice bow.
I'm down with a bow.
Me too.
I'm sad about the high five going away because it has an interesting story behind it.
Can you share that story?
I read about it on the Instagram and I don't have all the details available, but you should look up its history.
Interesting. I always thought a good name for a rap group of 5 guys would be High Five, and they're all stoned. The High Five.
That would be your rap group.
Now, so Sam, I knew you before you were a DJ. What made you get into DJing, and was it is it something you still love to do? And how are you finding this new lack of work? Are you getting frustrated? Do you miss being on the road and DJing? Where you at?
Well, I love DJing because of the fact that you get to be in the party without actually engaging in the party.
Ooh.
So it's like being like an introvert in an extrovert setting.
Yes. Good point.
So I always used to hang out in the DJ booth with Mark because it was like a way of being out, but not actually having to like talk to people.
Yes.
So this whole quarantine thing is pretty great for me. However, I do miss DJing. I've done I did like 2 live sets for charity, and then I did 1 live set on my Instagram Live the other day because I miss the music.
Right.
But it's weird. When I was DJing the live sets, like, you don't know. I think what I was best at, or am, hopefully my career will still exist after this, is reading the room and playing for the room.
Right.
So if you don't know who you're playing for, it's really strange because I play so many different kinds of music. I'm like, well, is this the right song to play now? Or should I go here? Or it's super, super stressful. It's like literally DJing for a room that you're not in.
Yeah, how do you? Yeah, it's hard to read the room if you're just DJing for your phone in front of you. There's no energy to pick up on. And I know this is a pet peeve of a lot of DJs. I imagine for you as well. When people come up and request a song, is that as annoying as it seems?
It's annoying. Sometimes it's great because if you're doing something for like a wedding or somebody's event that you really are there to cater to them, then sure, yeah, I'll take a request. I want to
Right.
make sure that people in the room are having a good time. But if it's like just a club set, like, man, I got it.
Right.
If I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna play it, and I don't need you to come up and request a song from me while I'm playing something else. It's just kind of insulting.
Right. Yeah, I imagine so. I remember Mark back in the day DJing, and he just basically in the winter, we called him DJ Coat Check because we'd always put our coats behind him. Did you ever get that? Was that ever a thing in New York in the cold winter where everyone just wants, because like I would carry, but this is back in the vinyl days. I remember DJ, when Mark would DJ records, we would all fight over who gets to carry his records in the club, and he would rotate amongst friends. Oh, Simon gets to come Friday because, so-and-so came last week. So I was Selector Simon. I'd bring in the records, I'd help hand them to him. And it was just to be, like you said, in the booth, in the party, yet you're in your own little zone. I never DJ'd, but there's something magic about watching you guys control a room like that with music. And I remember specifically your brother one time for P. Diddy, or what's his name? Is it Puffy, Puff Daddy? What's his name now?
Diddy, maybe?
Diddy? Well, you know who I'm speaking of. He had a birthday party once, and it was like down near Wall Street or something. And Mark was DJing, and then another DJ got on after, and I watched the whole room sort of just stop dancing and go away. And Puffy got really upset, yelled at the guy, and brought Mark back. And then Mark had everybody come back on and I was really got to see firsthand, oh, I see there's something more than just, you think you're just playing records, but there's a science to it. You feel the room out. How does that work? Is it just energy?
It's energy, and it's just, I mean, I call myself DJ codependent because it's like very much
Right.
like, do you like this? Is
Right.
this working? Like,
Right.
it's like a really delicate balance because one wrong song can really ruin a night. And then, but also like when it depends on how many people are in the room. If it's a big room, you have a little more leeway. But when it's a small party, 3 people moving to go get a drink can change everything.
Right. I remember there was a list. My friend who worked in the nightclub business in New York back in the 90s said there was a list of songs that that DJs were handed. You're not allowed to play these songs because it would get the crowd too rowdy, right? It would be like a Wu-Tang song, a MOP. There was a few songs that were so hype that it would cause fights. And I remember thinking, wow, if you made one of those songs, that is such a testament.
Was this like a Steve Lewis rule?
I don't know. This was my friend New York Joey Prego. I don't know if you remember him. He was like, Joey, my boy Joey, and he ran some clubs in New York, but he did the hood parties, but there was a list, and he showed me the list of songs that were a no-no that the DJs were handed and I remember thinking that would be the best compliment ever if you made one of those songs that would get people too crazy.
I want that list for now.
I'll get it for you. Is there any songs you could think of that? What's this like a song like? Because we were so lucky.
I feel like maybe Annie Up was on that list.
MOP. Is that MOP? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few songs that just can't help but get people to go crazy. And I feel like us living in New York in the 90s, I mean, you're from New York. I lived there 93 to 98. So I basically moved to New York during the mecca of the best era of hip hop ever. And not only that, I remember as records broke, like this was before the internet and social media was a thing. So like if Stretch Armstrong played a record, he broke, is that how you would say he broke the record?
Yeah, we used to break records. Yeah.
Right. Now, what does that mean exactly? Like you co-sign it and it makes it legit? Like what's the politics of that?
Well, there was street teams, right? So there'd be white labels. So pressings before they went out to anybody else, and DJs got them, and it was a big deal. Like it was cool to be on that list where like, street team people would come to the club where you were playing and give you records, and you would play records and you played them before anybody heard them. So sometimes some weeks you would clear a room with a Jay-Z record.
Clear a room in a bad way or a good way? What does that mean?
Yeah, in a bad way. Like,
get them out. Right.
People are like, I don't know this record. And then 2 weeks, and you'd be so mad because you knew in like 2 weeks, everybody would be begging you to play that record.
Wow, that's interesting.
But you played it anyway.
I remember at, Oh, Don Hills. Okay,
Mhm.
this is guys listening, watching New York City, 90s. It was the era. And I remember standing outside of Don Hills through the brick wall, standing outside. You may have even been there. I was maybe with Mark. And I remember hearing through the muffled bricks of outside in the winter, hearing Shook Ones for the first time, Mob Deep. And it just had this murderous, murky sound. And I
Mhm.
remember going inside, I'm like, what is that's how you found a song back then. And I remember going inside and going up to Stretch. And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, Mob Deep. And it was, I just looked at the record and it just said Mob Deep. It was like a white label, like you said. It was just like a demo of it. And I
Yeah.
just remember looking at Mob Deep and I remember thinking, that name's so ill, Mob Deep. And it was just like the first time I heard it. But like, that's so magic to get to hear a song like that for the first time in the club. Like now it's just gotten so diluted with the internet and like there's no magic anymore. You know, everything's just so, do you miss those days? Is it that we're older or is it less fun now? We've talked about this.
I can't tell. I think, the consumption of music is so different now because people get the records immediately and there's no wait time. Like you download it, you get it, you play it as much as you want. You don't have to wait to hear it from nobody else's. You don't have to wait to hear it on the radio. You don't need to like
Right.
dial into the box to see the video. Like you have it as soon as you want it. So people just consume music so much faster. So they're just like, all right, cool, I'm over that one. Give me the next song.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
around at a time where like it was like a treasure hunt to get to hear the song you wanted, or you had to wait. Like you'd hear a song on the radio and it wouldn't be available for release till however many weeks or whatever it was, or you heard it in the club, or somebody had it on a mixtape from some bootleg somewhere. It's just different now, and it's great that we all have access to it, but we all have access to music pretty much at the same time, so nobody's really getting stuff any sooner than anybody else anymore.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know why. Maybe I heard you wrong, but I think it's almost like you had to earn it back then. You know, it was like an Easter egg. You had to find it. Nowadays, everyone can get it. It's just not as cool. And back then, you had to go out and listen and find it. And you said something, we were hanging out once. Another thing about the cell phones is back in the day, if like there was something going on a Tuesday night, you'd show up, you'd stick it out and wait, maybe it would get fun. But now people get on their phone like, this is whack, I'm out, I'm gonna go somewhere else. So everything just kind of gets spread out. And back then it would just be like one place on a Tuesday night and nobody was looking at their phone. There wasn't any phone. So people just had a good time. As a DJ, do you find that now when everyone's on their phone that they're not in the moment having as much fun, or they're just filming it and being a camera person instead of just having a good time?
I feel like most of the time, yeah, it's just like people are watching through their phone.
Right.
So they're not actually engaged in it. And they're so busy showing everybody like, yo, I'm here, check me out, I'm at this hot party. But they're not really at the party because they're at whatever, they're engaged in whatever it is that they're doing. So it's rare that I DJ'd this party recently with Q-Tip at the Edition Hotel in LA on Sunset. And nobody was on their phones and everyone was just bugging out and dancing and just having, you didn't see a bunch of screens or a bunch of like flashes. People were just in it and it was so much fun.
Why is that? Why is it?
I think maybe it was an older crowd.
I saw recently, or not recently, but I can't, his name escapes me. Goody Mob, maybe I'm crazy. Who sings Maybe I'm Crazy? Maybe. Goody Mob. Big guy, Atlanta. He's huge.
Oh, Gnarls Barkley guy,
Yes,
CeeLo?
CeeLo Green played in LA, and I remember it was like an intimate show, and it was right when Maybe I'm Crazy came out, which was the song, arguably one of the songs of the year, and it was in LA. And I remember everybody in the crowd was just on their phone, and he snapped on the crowd and yelled at the crowd. This was at like a club in LA, and it was so uncomfortable, but he was right. Like everybody was just either on their phone, and he lost it on the crowd, and it was refreshing to see that happen because everybody's just on their fucking phone. No one's really in the moment anymore. And I feel like it's making the nightlife suffer. So when I go out, I'm like really like, is it just that I'm older and I don't know what's going on? But I feel like no one's in the moment. It's just nobody's present. That's what it is. What about your music? Are you working on any new music? What projects you got going on?
I'm working on new music. Our singer left. There had this band Ocean Park Standoff. Our singer left last year, and so we're just gonna do features. So we were in the middle of recording that when all this happened. So now it's just kind of a waiting game till you can be in the same room as other people.
So you can't, there's no way to record separate. Like obviously you want to be in the room jamming together. Like the magic must be hard to do via like, you know, obviously someone could send you a beat and you could write to it. But like, as far as making music, you don't get to right now because you're at the house solo with your lady and that's it.
Well, it's just that I just like recording vocals. You don't really want to leave that in somebody else's hands unless they happen to be quarantining with like an incredible engineer.
Yeah.
It's funny. Somebody sent me, Pete, my partner in crime in my band. He sent me this meme from the One World at Home concert, pointing out that Lady Gaga was singing into a $20,000 mic on the wrong side.
What do you mean on the wrong side? Backwards or upside? How do you mean?
The you know, like one of those like big mics. Yeah. And you're supposed to sing into it where the logo for the thing is, and she was singing on the back side of the mic. On
accident, or was this what's going on?
On accident, I guess.
Oh.
So I mean, she has a good enough voice, it doesn't really matter.
We carry it around. Yeah.
But you know, the importance of a good engineer.
Yeah, absolutely. What music are you listening to? Maybe that we could have the viewers and listeners check out. What are you listening to right now in your iPhone when you're at home jamming?
I like that. I know it's crazy. There's this new rapper, this guy, Jack Harlow.
I like Jack Harlow.
Yeah, I like that song,
he's
What's
great.
Poppin'.
Oh, he's great. He's great. He's got a few really good songs.
Yeah, I was really not into him just because like I was just being judgy about like a white rapper.
Right.
But then I watched one of those Genius things where they explain their lyrics. Mm-hmm. And he was very endearing to me. No,
he's a good writer. He's got a good flow. He gets good beats. I'm a fan. I like Jack Harlow. I want to show you a clip of the video game so we can check out and show the viewers sort of like, you know what it's like to be a DJ, but for people at home, they get to fantasize and get to be a DJ while they're in their living room. Watching this, you don't ever do those kind of big festival EDM, like what do you feel about like EDM pop crazy festival stuff?
I mean, I've done some festivals and it's always fun. I just always feel like I should be doing more of this.
You should be doing what?
There's a lot of this. Right. Your arms in the air. Like.
Right. So you get to look, the people at home get to kind of be Samantha Ronson, Mark Ronson, Stretch Armstrong from their living room and feel like somewhat of the magic. I'm thinking they're going to do a feature on the game where you can actually go put your jacket behind the DJ booth too. I'm going to have them add that in there.
I think that's important.
It's a good feature.
DJ coat check.
That's exactly it. Well, I wanted
fun.
One song, mix it with another, and basically do mashups, which the great DJ AM was. Would you say like Z-Trip and AM were the pioneers of like the mashup? Is that technically what a mashup is?
I would say Mark and Z-Trip.
Really?
Yeah, Mark did that. Like not to disrespect AM,
right?
But that was Mark. Remember, Mark would do that Back in Black with Annie Up.
Right, that's right. I remember.
Mark was the first one to do that, really.
As now that you mention this, I clearly remember watching the evolution of all this. I remember watching Stretch DJ, and me and Mark would be in the booth with Stretch, and I know that Stretch is one of the pioneers of all, the New York DJ scene. And then I remember AM coming in the booth, watching Mark and studying him. I'm not saying copying, but DJ AM would come watch Mark and look at me and just be hitting me like, whoa, wow, like having his mind blown. And then he kind of took it and did his thing with it. So yeah, you're right. They all sort of, I wouldn't say they're biting, they're just lending and learning from one another, and it evolves, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, AM used to hit me up for rock records because he didn't know about rock, and he was more focused on like hip hop and R&B, and he saw me spinning one night in LA, and I just set it off like at some like cheesy, bougie whatever, like Nylon magazine party or something like that, and I was opening for AM. And then and Am walked up to me, and I had the floor just going nuts with like crazy rock stuff. And I just looked at him and was like, and he always laughed at that because he was just like, "You're such a little." He was like, "You were so cocky about it." You were like,
That's amazing.
and then I remember when I got back to New York, I still lived in New York, and he was like, I amming me one night, like, "Yo, what were those records you were playing?" I was like,
Wow.
I'm not giving you
Yeah.
my secrets. And so I just started fucking with him and sending him like really cheesy shit like Quiet Riot, Come On Feel the Noise. And just
Yes.
like, and he played them and they worked.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So is there sort of a code within DJs with each other? It's kind of like you don't get my special sauce. Is that or I imagine you, Mark, are brother and sister. You guys, but is there sort of that? Is that sort of a G code rule? Like you
Kind
don't
of like the thing was with Mark and we played different stuff. Like I was super into like alternative rock and all that. And I played different rooms than he did. So I had a lot more leeway.
right,
And Mark was very busy like establishing himself as a credible hip hop DJ.
right,
And I was just like, I will play whatever I want. And I was so naive to like what DJs really were supposed to do that I got away with a lot more.
because you
And I
didn't
was
know.
like
You weren't
this,
thinking about it. You weren't overthinking
yeah, I was
it.
like this little girl in the booth. I looked like I was 8.
Right.
And I was just like playing records, and I would go from like Biggie to Joan Jett to whatever
Right.
because I didn't have enough of any one genre of music to fill a whole night.
Wow. That's
So-
cool. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that, for not like not overthinking it, right? And not
Yeah.
you didn't know what you were doing in a sense, and that's what worked.
So I had the ignorance is bliss
Right.
kind of thing. So I
Right.
just kind of went all over the place. So when then when AM wanted to play rock, and I was like, no. I play rock because I don't know how else to do the other stuff.
Right.
Like
Wow.
Jusky, all them would be like, yo, tell me this stuff. And it's
Right.
like, you do you. I'm
Right.
gonna do me.
Right.
And especially when you're younger too, and you're just like kind of like a little more worried. As I've grown up, I've learned, thanks to the philosophy of Jay-Z, that is what you eat don't make me SHIT.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So like basically like you do you, I'll do me.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
But back then I was like, nah, you're not getting my special sauce.
Right.
Because back then it wasn't like now. Like you had to go, if you wanted to play a record, you had to find it.
Right. You had to go digging in the crates. I
Yeah.
remember, and let's leave it on this note. Speaking of Jay-Z, I remember coming up to you one night in New York, and you're standing against the wall, and there was some beginning of some party. You're outside having a cigarette, and you had the Rockefeller necklace on, right?
Mhm.
Is that correct? And you had just got signed to the Rock. Is this what it is? Right? The Rock. How, real quick, let's tell that story about how that happened and how you got associated with, at the time and forever, one of the greatest like New York record label movements ever. How did that come about? What was the story behind that?
I was DJing, and Dame Dash would come to our parties.
Mhm.
I remember like Eugene's and Centrafly, and like him and Jay would come and hang out. And Damon and I got to know each other. And then when he was with like Aaliyah, because of Kadada, we were around each other a lot more. And then I hadn't seen him for a while, and I was DJing at the Submerser, and he was just like, what have you been doing? I was like, I've been working on my demo. And he was like, what do you mean demo? I was like, well, I do singer-songwriter stuff. And I played it for him, and he was just like, well, I want to sign this. And I was like, no, you don't. I don't think that's a good idea. And then I ended up signing with him because I met with the people at Isla Def Jam as well, because they distributed Rockefeller, and they knew about rock and pop. And yeah, that is a conversation for another day. But
Yeah.
it was pretty, I mean, I worked with Kanye when his jaw was wired shut.
That's history right there. And it's the same thing you were just saying. It's like maybe it's ignorance is bliss, but it's like not trying is when the best stuff happens, right? It's like,
Yeah, it was like the Forrest Gump of that world.
right. It's like, had you been like, I'm going to go make a demo and I'm going to get signed by him and he's going to, it's like, it doesn't work that way. It just happens, right? I mean, it's a lot of, in all fairness, it's a lot to do with like right place, right time, and who you know. But like, I've always said this, like, you know, me and Mickey Avalon and Andre Legacy, we did that song.
Oh, I was listening to 1980 the other day.
Holds
God,
up.
that song is so good.
It holds up, right? It's kind of
It's a
timeless. It's
great
Four on the
song.
Floor. Yeah, Cisco Adler produced that one. Again, that song and the song My DICK, which went platinum a year ago.
So crazy.
It's so crazy. Those were the ones that not only did I think, I'm not even going to put these out. Those songs were just messing around, having fun, not trying to do anything. Not like, oh, this song is going to blow up. And then you get in the studio with the big producer and you get Interscope Records just putting us with this guy and and nothing happens. But it's when you're having fun messing around, the magic happens, you know?
Well, it's the authenticity that shines through.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying Not to Try. I actually read a whole book about that. It's called Trying Not to Try. And
did you really write a book?
yeah, it's called, I've read a couple books. This one is called Trying Not to Try.
Oh, you wrote it?
No, read.
Oh.
No, I wish I could write a book. And it's called Trying Not to Try. And it's that whole theory. And actually Charles Bukowski left 2 words on his grave: don't try, with boxing gloves. And I always wondered what Bukowski meant. Like, what do you mean don't try? Oh, I get it. Like, you know, if like someone's trying too hard, it's a turnoff. You know, you walk into a job interview or someone's hitting on you and they're trying too hard, or like someone's putting too much on. It's like, just fall back. Like, no, it doesn't work. But so that's what Bukowski meant, is like, don't be a try hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Bitch, be cool.
Yeah.
In the words of Samuel Jackson, bitch, be cool.
On that note, I would like to thank you for your time during quarantine. I wish you continued Thunder magic time, and I hope Thunder's teeth get cleaned very good and no Roni comes home.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Samantha. Be safe
Samantha.
out there.
You be safe in there. All right. I love you. Thank you, Sam.
Love you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Samantha Ronson, and thank you guys for watching and hanging out with us for Between the Speakers, brought to you by FUSER, where you get to be the rock star DJ from your living room, man. Until next time, party on, dude.